If you're tired of the standard business and marketing fundamentals, frameworks, and funnels, you need a little mischief. Get ready to turn up the volume on the CEO Mischief Maker podcast, where you access conversations with seasoned business owners who have smashed through mindset barriers, innovated the standard boring business and marketing playbooks, and executed future-paced strategies with bleeding-edge tools and tactics to micro-fail their way into massive success and growth. We are Mindset Impact Strategic Catalysts helping innovative entrepreneurs focus. We are CEO Mischief Makers. Ready to make a little mischief? All right, welcome CEO Mischief Makers. We get to chat again with Becky Zingale. And if you remember our first two conversations on Monday and Wednesday when we talked about Wonderfully Different, Wonderfully Me, and this incredible book that Becky wrote, I really want to dive into some of the strategy and the tactics, because we start with the big picture and how all this works, the whole mindset and all the changes that we're making. And then we slowly get down to really the details and how we're going to do something, how we're going to take that big picture idea and bring it into actual fruition. So tell me about that process of writing your book. I mean, did you sit down and write on a computer? You mentioned before that you interviewed people and asked them how they would describe their child. But when you were going to actually sit down and write, what did you do?
I wrote it on the computer. And, this is the text that's going on this page and this page and this page. And then I rearranged the characters over and over and lay in bed at night. And if this person interacts with this person, nope, doesn't work. Or, the girl who draws a picture, she can't give the picture to the person who's blind. So there are some details that you got to work out. So yes, I overthought it a lot because that's what I do. Gave me something to think about while I was falling asleep. I mean, I think I probably had it memorized. Just rehearsing it over and over.
Yeah. And rehearsing the order and putting it together to take it from a beginning to an end, right?
Yep.
You have to do that in a book. I watched a movie one time that absolutely left you hanging and you had no idea. And it left you right at that cliffhanger. And I was so angry. Right?
Yeah.
I was so angry that I was left there and did not know and had to try and make up what was going to happen. That's not.
Yeah.
I don't like those stories.
That's how my older daughter currently writes her stories. She writes epic introductions. And then she's like, it's going to be a finish the story yourself story. And I'm like, this is torture.
It is.
But she's really good at really good introductions. And I want to know what happens next. But you stopped. Okay.
Yeah,
good.
Exactly.
She's off to a good start.
And so that's what you had to do. You could rehearse it in your mind. You could understand and memorize, but you still had to bring it to that, like I said, story arc, right?
Yeah.
The beginning, the middle, and the end.
Connect, bring it back around, starting with the character who's deaf, who's signing I love you, and then ending with my older daughter trying to help her little sister learn to sign I love you. So it's
there you go. Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. My oldest, when we took him to kindergarten and I was saying goodbye in the first day of kindergarten, he actually signed I love you because we had worked on sign. And he signed I love you as I was leaving, and I signed it back. And of course, the teacher started getting tears in her eyes because this little, 5-year-old was signing I love you and kind of looking forlorn. It's a powerful thing, really powerful to be able to speak like that without anyone, hearing you, to do that. Wow. So, okay. So you wrote the book. Now you're looking at, okay, I've got these characters. You were inspired for these characters through not only your own children, but other children that you know and that you've asked their parents about. And you have all these amazing I am statements. And now you're looking at, okay, what's the next step? I've got to publish. I've got to illustrate. Tell me about the illustrations. How'd you figure that part out?
Well, there's pictures in my head that are so lovely and they do not come out the same. That's a really fun process to be let me communicate to someone else what's in my head. And then they got to understand it. And then they have to put it on paper. There's a Facebook group for children's authors and illustrators. So I spent a lot of time looking at other people's books until I found one. And I'm okay, I like these illustrations. So I wanted it cartoon-ish, but cute and fun. But it had to be a realistic looking cartoon. That way, because some of them are everyone has really big eyes. And then it's well, now everyone doesn't look normal. So I need people to look like normal humans, but then my daughter doesn't have cheekbones. So it's those small differences. I need to find an illustrator who could really show those things because I don't explain in the book that she doesn't have cheekbones. You just can see there's a boy who has a birthmark on his face. Like you can see that. Like I don't need to explain it in words because you can see it if the illustrator can do a great job showing it.
And do a good job. Yes. Wow.
Yeah. So that was a fun process, especially like the little girl who has Down syndrome. Like we went back and forth a lot. And with another friend, he's like, no, I think like, I don't know, her cheeks need to be rounder. And we're like, okay, poor illustrator, but he was great.
Wow. Did you follow a process? Did you like go online and say, how do you publish a book? And you found some blueprint or guideline and then just followed that? Or did you
That would have been really helpful. I make it up as I go along. I was like, okay, I have the words. I think the next step is to illustrate it. And then once you have the words and the pictures, then you got to give it to somebody to like, can you put this together?
Actually, yes. Okay. When you say put it together, you talking like an editor or are you talking about a formatter? Or
and then there's an editor too. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there's people like content creator, like a second brain, like I was saying, like you can give them your thing and they can story development helping people.
Yes.
I don't know what they are.
Yes. There are different kinds of editors. There's content editor and there's a copy editor, right? That actually just looks at the words and makes sure that it's actually, written according to proper English, right?
Yeah. And punctuation, all that stuff. Yeah. So I did that editor. So yes, I had to have the editor before I gave it all to the publishing company. And then they put the words on the page and then they give it back to me. And I had this illusion that once I gave it to them, like I was done.
You're done.
So they give it back to me and they're like, well, how's it look? And I'm like, well, actually like this sentence is long and this one's short and then this one's long. Like, can you like make it all fit better? So yeah, I had to do like line by line, like start line 2 here. This is tedious.
Yes.
But yeah, all the lines look great now.
Well, that was your gig, right? You are a very detailed person. You are someone who looks at those details and understands them. Because for me, I would be just like, it just doesn't look right. It's just not. No, what did you do? That's not. And I would attach an emotion to it. It would be tough for me.
Yeah, it's like, and I don't quite have the skills to do what I want to do. It's like hire a designer because I'll sit here and try to design like a business card for hours, days. And then Dwayne's like, we have a designer on his marketing team. Like, just tell him what you want. And then he'll come back with something. I was like, there was what was in my head, what was on the paper. And then what he did was like epic and far beyond like what I asked for. And I was like, how many hours did I waste when I could have just asked? So now I even ask like really vaguely, like for our logo, I was like, I just feel like a book with like butterflies coming out of it. And so he came back with a few images and then also the one that we picked. He's like, I also had this idea that's a little different. And it's a book that is the butterfly with the wings and then antennas. And I was like, oh, that's why we have a designer who knows us so well. I was like, that's what I want. So now I have a logo that we haven't officially unveiled yet.
Oh my gosh.
When I get my new business cards.
Oh my gosh. Just that description is just epic. Just the description itself is amazing. I can't wait to see it. But look at that shift you had to make. Talk about mindset, like we talked about on Monday. Look at that shift going from I have to spend hours trying to figure this out to, oh my gosh, I mean, there's someone in the world that actually is really, really good at this and really loves doing it. And I can just ask them to do it.
Yeah. You kind of have to think about the value of your time. Like, yes, sure, I could do it myself and it might be okay. But how many days am I going to waste that I could have been doing something more useful with my time?
Yeah.
And let the experts do it really fast.
See, there we go. Anyway. That's it. And that's the whole point of this whole strategy and tactics situation. So you have this grand idea for a book and you want to have an impact on children and adults and people to allow them to realize that they have the power to transform their own lives based on the way they look at a particular situation or think about a particular situation. And now you have to take that grand idea and those details of the actual words on the page and the illustrations, and you got to put it together in something comprehensive that someone can actually go to a bookstore, pick up, read the front cover, read the inside flap and go, oh my gosh, yes, I need to have this book for my kids and buy it. Right? Yeah. I mean, that's not an easy task. It doesn't just happen on its own.
I wish it did.
I wish. Wouldn't it be great? But then tell me about finding the publisher.
So my husband actually met someone at one of the conferences he went to, and it's a hybrid publisher. So I still own the rights to my book. I don't really know what that means, but that is better than handing your book over to a publisher. And that's in that situation, when the publisher's done with your book is done and there's nothing you can do about it.
That's right.
This puts more responsibility on me to also market and promote my book, but that's fine.
Yeah. Because wouldn't you rather have the power to decide what happens?
Yeah. Like if I was going to do it again, I think I would self-publish and I would hire a designer and hire, I don't know, whatever I need, like hire a Kickstarter person to do a thing, hire a marketer because I'm married to a marketing consultant, but maybe I could hire an actual marketer who does it for me instead of telling me what to do. Yeah, I guess it's like the publishing company is kind of like hiring a general contractor who takes care of everything, which is lovely. But in the end, I actually don't make as much money.
Yeah.
But if I could figure out how to be kind of the general contractor and pick all my people, then you can really get what you want.
That's it. That's
just
exactly
more work,
it.
But less work.
It is more
work.
That's exactly it. It really is a decision. Yeah. And, Becky, I'm sure you'd agree with me, or I hope you would agree with me, that the first time we do something is a learning process, no matter what.
Yeah. So this is
We've never done it before.
Because I actually wrote our story. It took me 3 years to write our family story. And I was going to publish that. And then we were on the Born Different show. And I was like, no, we're going to write a different book. This book was a lot easier because I did it in a year. And it was like, I've done this before. I know how to do this. So
and the writing part.
Much better book.
The writing part. Yeah.
So I had the first one illustrated as well. So I learned from that experience. And because the other book is ready to be published, but this one is so much better. So now I got to go upgrade that one to this quality.
There you go. But see, you've learned. So you use that other book as your training ground for writing and illustrating a book. And now it was easier to write the one that really you think is going to help impact more people. And so that's how we do things. That brings us full circle to when we talked about mindset, when you were talking about what's familiar, what's comfortable, what's routine we're going to do. So you're ultimately, the more books you write, the more routine it will be.
Right. And I would, I'm sure every illustrator has a different process of how the back and forth goes. So just learning how that works and how different people work and the different options. And there's lots of.
But the process itself, you're going to be familiar with it. You're going to understand the steps. You're going to be more familiar with those steps. The nuances in the middle, there are always going to be nuances as technology changes, people change, right? There are always going to be changes to that. But the process itself is going to be familiar and comfortable, not easy. I'm not saying it's easy because it's not easy writing a book and having it published, but at least it's going to be familiar. And I hope so, because the more familiar that is to you, the more books we're going to get out of you. And I can't wait for that.
Now we can sell the box sets of all the books.
See? Yes, that's the point. Yes. And they live on, right?
Yeah. Because we can do a story on every single character who's in the first book. So we have, my daughters, we still have our family story. Dwayne can write the book about all the times he's lost his prosthetic ears, which is going to be a great book. He just needs to write it, but he's not the writer. He's a talker. So at some point we need to sit down and make his book happen.
All he has to do is talk it. Tell him to talk his book.
Exactly. Like just voice type. This is what our kids do. They don't even know how to write half the time. They just voice type to the computer.
That's right. That's right.
You got to fix weird mistakes that happen, but.
So what? That's an editor.
Yeah. Yep. Like I could edit it. That's kind of how we've worked in the past. It's like, if you just word vomit, I can make it look nice. But sometimes I need something to start with. I'm like, I got nothing.
Yeah. Wow. That is so awesome. So I'm so happy you got to share this time with me. I'm so happy that we were able to share your thoughts, your experiences, and your book with the world, or whomever's going to listen to this. And I'm telling you, Mischief makers listening to this, if you take anything from this, take the incredible journey that Becky's been on so far and the lessons she's learned and the mindset and the impact and the way she figured out the strategy and the tactics to do it, and apply that to your own life. And you can do anything. Mm-hmm. Any last words, any last ideas that you have for anyone listening?
No.
Well, how about, can you tell them where to find you? Tell them how to get in touch with you and how to find your book.
Yeah. So wonderfullymebooks.com is my website where I'm selling the book. I also have stickers and like a little sticker postcard worksheet thing because that's fun. And I just ordered bookmarks because that's fun to go with your book. So
go there, please. And thank you, Becky, for spending this time with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, hold on. If your mindset was shifted, You were inspired to innovate and you were spurred into action? Don't just move on with your day. Focus, my friend, and take a few minutes to visit ceomischiefmaker.com to learn more about the value that was shared with you today. Please act now and create some CEO mischief of your own.